Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 pro match. We have got ourselves what should be a darn exciting one today. Making sure I have that music on there as we get going. We're on the map Oceanborn today. In the top left, it is none other than Cure, one of the top Korean Terrans. And in the bottom right, it is GuMiho, a long-running pro player who's just been around for so long and is always a treat to watch. So we've got ourselves what should be a very fun match. It's going to be a Terran versus Terran today in this match, and these two are two of the best Korean Terran players, so I think we can expect a lot of action, a lot of chaos, as that is the matchup. And ladies and gentlemen, to show your support for these pro games, make sure to go ahead and slap that like button, leave a comment down below saying more games, or let me know who your favorite pro player is in the comments down below. And yeah, we'll see where this game's gonna go between these two. And we've got the two of them just playing very safe, no proxy reapers or anything like that in TVT, and then both of them going for, well, pardon me, just GuMiho going for the double gas. Cure is electing to go for the faster command center, so we are seeing one of the diversions of play that can happen in this matchup, as that's kind of the two options that Terran have outside of cheesing. If you go for the double gas, you get the factory first. If you go for the single gas, you get up the expansion. Both players, though, opening up with a Reaper. And on a map like Oceanborn, I'm not too worried about Cure going for this faster command center. But usually things even out, even though GuMiho's going to have the later command center. These TVTs, and it applies to any mirror matchup in StarCraft 2, that if you, like, one player opens up with a faster Nexus, even in a PvP, or an extra hatchery in ZVZ, somehow things just tend to even out. It's a weird phenomenon that I think needs a name, but anyway, we do see that slightly faster command center for Cure, but GuMiho's getting up his own, so nothing too significant. And yeah, we shall see where this game is going to go from here. The two Reapers for GuMiho are going to move out. He's going to be backing it up with a Cyclone on the way behind this, but then building that reactor takes a long time, whereas Cure is making his Marines. He'll probably start up his own Cyclone as soon as that's done. So then the timing will be nice and crisp for him. We do have the two Reapers coming in for GuMiho. They're not going to get there in time to delay the command center. They'll see the command center, but GuMiho knows some SCV had to have built that command center, so he's going to grab that as the poor SCV's body somehow floats up, burning underwater. So that's interesting. Now we have got the starports on the way for both players, and everything is looking pretty normal. We'll see if either of these players is going to mech in this game. GuMiho's going for multiple Cyclones, but that's not exclusive to mech. In fact, we've seen that they can go very well with bio in the past, as like the Cyclones can add a lot of muscle, a lot of extra damage, and just a lot of extra production you can get out with that factory. So we'll see if that's going to be the case. For now, though, Cure is getting up a tech lab, I imagine, for a siege tank, and then a tech lab on his starport, so probably going to be a Raven on the way. And that's where we're seeing a bit of variety between these players. GuMiho, he has gone for a couple of Cyclones, 3 Cyclones actually, and then Cure says, I don't need no darn Cyclones other than the single one that I have. So yeah, everything looking pretty darn normal so far. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you do enjoy these 1v1 pro games. I'm a big fan of the StarCraft 2 pro scene, and if you're on the fence about it, I encourage you just to check out a few of them, as they are just so fun to watch. If you play a little bit of StarCraft 2, it's just mind-boggling how good these players can be, as they're on a whole nother level, and I'm reminded that every time I boot up the game to play. Now we've got Interference Matrix on the way, and before you say, what is this weird glowing icon, and the answer to that is that it allows the Ravens to use Interference Matrix. In a previous patch it was changed so that you cannot disable units without researching that upgrade, and it's quite a cheap upgrade though. I think it's either 50-50 or 75-75, so it's very essential to get if you are making those Ravens. You have the tech lab anyway, so it's not that big of a difference. And then yeah, let's see, a scan goes down. We see Kir scanning, identifying GuMiho's third base. This may prompt him to move out, but more importantly, Kir scanned and saw the double factory from GuMiho. Now that is huge. That is going to tell Kir he's going up against a meching Terran. He's probably not going to be facing too much aggression in the near future. That being said, you can't underestimate the Cyclones that GuMiho is going for, as the Cyclones are oh so strong. Like, they are just so darn powerful, as and that's something that Terrans aren't usually used to, or any race is really used to dealing with, is the mobility of mech in the early game that has formidable strength. So GuMiho is looking to potentially catch Kir off guard with these. However, there's 2 siege tanks for Kir. We'll see if Kir is going to float over his command center. He's probably going to right away as soon as it's done and drops that first mule, as he knows that GuMiho's playing a macro mech play. So he's going to want to try and get his own economy going as fast as possible. And this is what GuMiho is seemingly looking for, is an opportunity to dive on Kir, use the supply-dense Cyclones with the Raven support to just potentially even kill Kir here. There is 4 tanks, however, and 2 Vikings for the Blue Terran, and he's doing a very good job of inching his tanks forward. He didn't just unsiege them all and move forward. GuMiho saw that, and then he retreats. And there's just no way that this is going to work out. GuMiho pokes on in with the Ravens, but then he's going to have to head on out of there as Kir secures that base. But that's not really too much of a win. How much GuMiho kept the pressure on Kir there in that little bit of, with that little bit of finesse there. Because, I mean, GuMiho's base was landed earlier, and he's the meching player, so that's really darn good for him. As a result, Kir's trying to catch up with a fast 4th command center for himself, but GuMiho is going to have a really strong economy here, and he's been rather unhindered. So I'm a little bit concerned here. I think the main thing for GuMiho right now is just not to throw away his Cyclones. If he throws away his Cyclones, potentially to a bunch of Stim Marines or something like that, that would be disastrous for him, because as a meching player, you are vulnerable in the early game. So he really will need that supply to defend his bases, to prevent an attack by Kir, as he powers up and gets out his own Vikings and whatnot. And yeah, quite a passive game here. GuMiho, though, feeling confident enough to throw that 4th base up on location. He's getting up Hurricane Engines, which is an upgrade that increases the speed of his Cyclones. That will help out. I'm actually not sure how much it increases them, but we shall see. And look at this, GuMiho really moving out on the map. Wow, he is taking a bold defensive stance here. Look how far these tanks are away from his base. But GuMiho's like, nope, I am getting ready to take control of this map. And I think that's a wise move. We see Kir just powering up on his economy behind this. He's already floating over his 4th base. I love to see that, because he knows that GuMiho is playing a very strong economic game, so he's got to try and counter that himself. But wow, the supply for GuMiho is really good. The upgrades for him, 1-1 done for the meching player, are very good. And yeah, that's going to put him in quite a good spot, as long as he doesn't throw these Cyclones away. If he throws the Cyclones away, that could open a window for Kir, but that's not going to happen as long as GuMiho plays wisely. We see a Stim as Kir wants that Cyclone. It's going to get away. That Hurricane Engines isn't done just yet. We've got quad Viking production for Kir, as he wants to try and take control of the skies, so he can potentially break the tank lines of GuMiho. And GuMiho has skimped on the defense a little bit, I'll say here. He's just been investing so much in an army, so much in tech, that he doesn't really have any turrets, no sensor towers up. This could leave him a little bit vulnerable, although he's going to have a very formidable army with 2 Thors on the way out. I would like to see him just produce absolutely as much stuff as he can here. He needs to be getting all the things, because eventually Kir will start to move out with his bio army. He doesn't really have a choice. As I say that, though, he does start firing up Liberators, Advanced Ballistics, and a Starport. Now let's take a look. Triple Thor production, that's what I want to see. Those are the beefy units, and with the 2-2 upgrades on the way, they shall be incredibly powerful. The Thors are just so darn good. We see Cyclones lock onto a Medivac as there's some middle map skirmishes. Those Cyclones have their speed up to 4.72. For context, that's about 20% faster than they were before, and they shall engage this bio, actually. The upgrade's really shining through for them there, as Kier has to back out, but both players are going to be maxed out in this game. And this is just a really passive macro game, as these two continue to just build up wisely, I'll say. Like, Kier playing the wise thing, realizing that he probably wouldn't get too much done against GuMiho. So he's going to go into his mass liberators. It's not an easy thing to play against, though. To let a meching Terran build up is so nerve-wracking, because then you have to contend with so many tanks. Just an unstoppable army that you really need to out-position to win. We see GuMiho getting up a 5th base. I love to see that. There's a bit of Hellion harassment at this 4th base. Those SCVs do have the +1 armor, whereas the meching Terran units don't have +3 yet. So those SCVs can actually take a couple of hits, surviving with 1 HP there, but just a bit of harassment for GuMiho, as he can now basically start throwing units away if he chooses to. He doesn't really want to throw units away, but he can commit to harassment and that kind of thing. He's making more Cyclones, getting up so many command centers. This is ridiculous. We now see a 6 base going up for GuMiho, as all of a sudden he's coming in, and I think he's going to catch Kier majorly out of position. Kier could be in a lot of trouble here. He's got the advanced ballistics done, though, so his Liberators can zone out this army, but the Thors are no joke, the Vikings are no joke, and the Cyclones are no joke. But look at this, yeah, GuMiho can't actually push in due to Kier's quick repositioning, and that's a little bit concerning, because all of a sudden, GuMiho can be bullied around by Kier, so we're seeing GuMiho try and counter this by making lots of Cyclones on the ground. Anti-armor missile gets tossed out by a Raven on its deathbed. But yeah, that's not too bad there for Kier. The fact that he was able to push GuMiho away so easily. But I do love that GuMiho is getting up just all the bases. The true meching dream, high-sec auto-tracking on the way to benefit those turrets, those planetaries. We're seeing a bit of a skirmish in the middle of the map. The Thors are getting jumped upon by these Liberators, and there's too many Liberators for the Thors to deal with. Like, head-to-head, I don't think the Thors are too bad, but when it's just 5 Thors against, I don't know, that's what, 12 Liberators? 13 Liberators for Kier, that's a little bit concerning. The Cyclones aren't much of a help because of the ground army. We did see some big anti-armor shots from that one non-mode switch Thor, though. Actually did very well against those Vikings. Now, in go the Ravens, in go the tanks, the Thors of GuMiho, but there's Kier sieging up, pushing him away, and the Thors can try and reposition to get shots off on the Liberators. We're seeing interference matrices on Liberators. That's not something you see every game, but wow. GuMiho just says, no, I think I can engage into this, and he actually can. Those Thors can take a few Liberator shots, since the Liberators have been nerfed a bit over the years. So, that does mean that, that's putting the pressure on Kier quite a bit. Well done by GuMiho for that, as realizing the Thors can engage. That interference matrix is going down. This is going to allow the Thors to potentially push in again, get some more Liberator pickoffs. That is incredibly well done by GuMiho. Just the finesse that requires is huge. We see Vikings, Cyclones moving in for an engagement, actually, as GuMiho just elects to take the fight, but that doesn't work out too well. The Thors were doing well, picking off a couple of the Blue Terran's units, but when all those Liberators were sieged up, they just melted, and that was a big loss for GuMiho. Resources lost, definitely in favor of the Blue Terran. Okay, now GuMiho still has all the bases that he really wants, except for this one here. We see a cute random factory for Kier. Just floated over here, I guess, as Kier says, nope, no more factory units for me. It's all just going to be bio and Liberators from this point. But all of a sudden, Kier says, I killed quite a few of your units, didn't I, GuMiho? So he's saying, maybe I can take an engagement, and he can win in the skies. And with the with the ground units, that's looking a little bit worrisome for GuMiho. The turrets could be problematic when it comes to pushing in with these liberators, but the bio can potentially take those out. We saw GuMiho trying to take this base, but that's going to get shot down by Vikings. We are seeing GuMiho try and get a jump on Kier, though, and that is possible. If the liberators don't siege in time, the Thors could just shred them, as they do have that 3-3 done now. We're seeing Liberator or Hellion harassment move on in, but as long as there's planetaries and siege tanks, those Hellions aren't going to get too much done. These planetaries bite back, and they will defend themselves with ease. Here taking a slower rate of expansions, but his fights have been doing well. All of a sudden, GuMiho is out of position. Liberators are sieging up on this base, and GuMiho has no choice but to evacuate the SCVs. Thors are stepping into the liberation zones to try and free this base to save it, and I think that's a pretty good angle with the Viking support and the density of the circles not being enough. Kier does get pushed back, so GuMiho saves the base. That's really well done for him. His Vikings are now moving out. Anti-armor missile, giving him the confidence to pursue. And I don't even know who's going to win this game. I do like Thors, though. And GuMiho has got a big Thor count. 3-3 Thors are no joke. They are so darn strong. The Liberators, if they get a big density of circles off, they can do well for themselves, but the bio stepping forward can't engage the Thors without the Liberators' support. And then it's so hard to get your Liberators to siege up on the Thors, to get your bio to go in all at the right time, and GuMiho just says 13 Thors. That is ridiculous. As they just delete those rocks in 3 volleys. 3-3 Thors are so darn good. They can fight battle cruisers, they can fight bio, they can clearly fight liberators. And GuMiho now bringing some SCVs to repair them. I love to see that. And Thors can even gun down planetaries, so they're mobile enough that you don't have to deal with tanks to try and break planetary locations. And here's all of a sudden on the back foot, and he might just be saying, man, I should have mech'd here, as GuMiho's now even taking one of Kier's bases potentially, and Kier's like totally pushed back. He's got no map confidence right now. He's got 14 Liberators. He's got maybe even too many SCVs at this point in the game, as he needs all the supply he can to take a good trade against this Terran bio. We've seen anti-armor missile go down. That is huge. We see bio moving in, trying to take on Thors, but there's even a couple siege tanks in the back for GuMiho that will help shred through this bio. And oh my gosh, did GuMiho just win this game? Just like that, just by building Thors? He lost quite a few Thors there, like 5 or 6, but at the end of the day, it's like he's still got like 8 Thors, so that's not too bad. That planetary gets deleted, and now Kier's all of a sudden panicking. His lack of tanks has really enabled the Thor production as well, and Kier's now got no money, really. He lost a mining base. He's gonna lose another one here, I think, too. And was this just one of the most anticlimactic TVTs of all time? As GuMiho just says, I know how to beat Starcraft, and that is build Thors. And then just have a couple of their little henchmen repairing them, and you just walk around slowly and kill everything. And Kier's like, man, I should have built some siege tanks. That's really all there is to it. He's now going really hard on the bio, hoping that the bio can take down the Thors, and it definitely can. Like, I'm pretty sure maxed out bio beats maxed out Thors, but when there's siege tanks in the mix, that's when it doesn't work. So we'll see if Kier can get a good fight. He was trying to take this base down here, but he's lost a lot of SCVs. His bio is going for an engagement, but it's not grouped up enough. With the anti-armor missiles and Hellions, GuMiho is just bullying Kier. And the Liberators really haven't done enough this game. Like, he'd have been better off with making his own tanks, making his own Vikings and Thors to try and play against this, I feel. And looks like Kier wants to go in, but he can't because there's siege tanks guarding. GuMiho's split up his army, yet Kier is unable to deal with either half of it, it seems. And that is just a sad story. He's going to go for it. Liberators sieging on the Thors, but they take so long to siege up that the Thors get a lot of shots off. We're now seeing Thors get deleted. The tanks are getting deleted. Kier's fighting on 2 fronts, though, trying to save his planetary, and that works out well for him in that it allows them to take a good trade against what GuMiho has, as the Thors were distracted shooting at the planetary. It looks like both armies of GuMiho got dealt with, but does Kier have the economy to continue this game? I'm not sure he does. He's floating over his natural base as he lost like all of his bases really this game. We see GuMiho almost bad-mannered taking Kira's bases. He's making 5 Thors at a time. Okay, you pick who's gonna win. The guy that's making 5 Thors or 5 Marines at a time. You tell me, as things are looking mighty good for GuMiho. As we do see Kier trying to seize momentum as he just charges on in. Liberator's sieging up on the Thors. This is forcing GuMiho to hesitate, to back out, as he does eat a lot of those shots from those liberation zones. Kier knows he's in trouble, so he's actually just going to try and win the game here, and he may be able to. He may want to land his Vikings, as those are actually very darn good against mech units, but oh man, Kier has broken into GuMiho's base, and did he just checkmate his opponent? His opponent, who maybe got a little bit too far ahead of himself, splitting his army and throwing away all his supply. And I think GuMiho may just be dead. He's down to 82 supply. He's only got 3 Vikings. And yeah, like, we see GuMiho's SCVs attacking the base of Kier. A couple of bio units are coming to try and help out. GuMiho has so many bases to his name. He's making all the Vikings he can, but his production is so compromised. He's losing Vikings as they pop out. He's making 4 more at a time with the rest of his starports, but he doesn't have it. He doesn't have enough. And that is just tragic for GuMiho. He had this game in the bag. And oh my gosh, what a surprise ending for Kier to be able to win this one. GuMiho, he just needed, I guess, a couple of siege tanks, maybe some more turrets, or just not to throw away his army. Like, maybe taking a base on Kier's side of the map was a bit much when he just lost his entire supply. And that was really well done by Kier. Like, if he waited another minute, I think he wouldn't have stood a chance in this game, but instead, he's gone and won it. I don't think there's a question about it. As, yeah, GuMiho has no production, and as Terran, it just takes so long to get your production back online. Like, GuMiho's like, alright, time to build some factories, some turrets, but I'm just looking at the supply, and that's why I'm fast-forwarding. It's 70 to 170. Like, Kier's economy isn't that good. In fact, it's quite poor. But GuMiho has, I don't think he's got a hope. Okay, maybe he's got a chance. But, like, Kier has got so much bio. SCVs can try and repair this base, but the 3-3 is really good. Even an anchored planetary can't hold on. There is a couple of tanks, some Vikings out for GuMiho. What's the Viking count? It's 11 to 7, so maybe there's a chance that GuMiho can hold on to the top right here, but it would be nothing short of a miracle. Look at all this bio for Kier. He's got 24 Marines, 17 Marauders. This base up here is vulnerable. We see Kier electing to try and break through GuMiho. He can maybe win the air battle, but his tanks don't stand a chance on the ground. More SCVs are coming. They were actually retreating, abandoning ship at that base so they can maybe repair it. But it's, I mean, oh, okay, pardon me, I read the Viking count backwards. There was more Vikings for Kier than there was for GuMiho. And that's going to be GG. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, consider becoming a YouTube member, as that does support the channel, so I can buy these GSL replays, so I can cast them for you guys. And then, yeah, leave a comment down below if you want to see more of these games, more bots, whatever it is. Let me know to help out with the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.